Before we go any further, take a moment right now and make sure you are subscribed, because what you're about to hear today is not just another coin story. It's the kind of story that has quietly changed lives, the kind of discovery that has been sitting unnoticed in drawers, boxes, old wallets, and forgotten collections for decades, and the kind of hidden value that most people walk past every single day without even realizing it. Now, imagine this for a second. You are sitting at home, maybe. It's a quiet afternoon. Maybe you're going through an old wooden box that hasn't been opened in years. Maybe it belonged to your father, your grandfather, or even something you picked up years ago and never gave a second thought. And as your fingers move through old papers, receipts, and coins, something small catches your attention. A coin that looks different, older, heavier in meaning than in weight. You pick it up, turn it slowly under the light, and you notice the worn but proud face of a king, the markings around the edge, and then something that makes you pause just a little longer than usual. The words Zuid-Afrika and the denomination 3p. At first, it doesn't seem like much, just another old coin. Maybe something that circulated decades ago and lost its value with time. But here's the truth that most people don't realize. Coins like the George V Zuid-Afrika 3 pence are not just currency. They are pieces of history, and in the right condition, from the right year, with the right details, they can quietly hold astonishing value. Now, let's step back for a moment and understand what you're really holding in your hand when you find one of these coins. This isn't just metal. This coin comes from a time when the world was very different, when South Africa was under British influence, and coins carried both cultural identity and political presence. The use of Zuid-Afrika reflects the Dutch/Afrikaans language heritage, which already makes this coin unique compared to many others of its time. The George V 3 pence coin was minted in the early 20th century, and like many coins from that era, millions were produced. But here's where things start to get interesting. Not all coins survive the same way. Not all coins are treated the same, and not all coins remain common over time. Coins are lost, damaged, melted down, or simply disappear into history, which means the number of well-preserved coins becomes smaller and smaller every year, and that's exactly where value begins to rise. Now think about this carefully. Most people who had these coins used them in everyday transactions. They passed them around, dropped them, scratched them, and never thought twice about their future worth. But a very small number of these coins somehow avoided heavy wear. They stayed protected, sometimes by accident, sometimes by careful collectors. And those are the coins that today can command serious attention. But it's not just about age, and it's not just about survival. There are specific factors that can turn an ordinary-looking George V Zuid-Afrika 3 pence into something truly valuable. The first factor is condition. And this is where things can change dramatically. A heavily worn coin might only be worth a small amount, but a coin that still holds its original shine, sharp details, and clear inscriptions can multiply in value many times over. Collectors use terms like uncirculated, extremely fine, and mint state, and each level represents a step up in preservation. The closer a coin is to its original condition, the more desirable it becomes. The second factor is rarity within the series, and this is where many people get surprised, because not all years of the George V 3 pence were produced in the same numbers. Some years had lower mintages, and some had subtle variations that make them stand out. These variations can include differences in mint marks, slight design changes, or even small errors that occurred during production. And while these details might seem insignificant to the average person, to a serious collector, they can mean everything. Now, imagine you have one of these coins, and it happens to be from a lower mintage year, or it carries a rare variation that only a trained eye can spot. Suddenly, what seemed like a simple coin becomes something much more important. The third factor is demand, and this is something that continues to grow over time, especially among collectors who specialize in British and South African coinage. These collectors are always searching for better examples, rarer pieces, and coins that complete their collections. And when demand meets rarity, that's when prices can rise in ways that most people never expect. Now here's where the story becomes even more fascinating, because over the years, there have been cases where coins like the George V Zuid-Afrika 3 pence have been sold for amounts far beyond what anyone imagined, especially when they were in exceptional condition or had unique characteristics. Think about that for a moment. Something that once bought everyday items, something that passed through countless hands without a second thought, now being carefully examined, graded, and sold for significant amounts of money, but there's another layer to this story, something that makes it even more powerful, and that is the emotional connection people have with these coins, especially for those who remember earlier times, who understand the value of history, and who appreciate the idea that something so small can carry so much meaning for many men in the 55 to 65 age group and beyond. Coins like this are not just collectibles, they are reminders of a different era, a time when money looked different, felt different, and had a story behind it, and that emotional connection often drives collectors to pay more for coins that resonate with them. Coins that remind them of their past, their heritage, or their personal journey. Now, let's talk about something that most people overlook completely, and that is the possibility that a coin sitting quietly in your home right now could be one of those rare pieces. It could be sitting in a jar, mixed with other coins, or tucked away in an envelope, or even stored in an old album that hasn't been opened in years. And the truth is, most valuable coins are not found in auctions or high-end collections. They are found in ordinary places, by ordinary people who simply took the time to look a little closer. So, what should you do if you come across a George V Zuid-Afrika 3 pence? The first thing is simple. Don't ignore it. Don't assume it has no value. And don't treat it like just another coin. Take a closer look. Examine the details. Check the date. Observe the condition. And if possible, compare it with known examples. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to be curious enough to investigate. And here's something important to remember. Even small differences can make a big impact. A slightly sharper design, a clearer inscription, or a less worn surface can all contribute to higher value. Now, imagine the feeling of discovering that the coin you almost ignored is actually worth something significant, something that could make a real difference. That moment of realization, that shift from ordinary to extraordinary, is what makes coin collecting so exciting, and it's also what keeps collectors searching, hoping, and paying attention to the smallest details, because sometimes those details lead to discoveries that change everything. Now, let's take this a step further, because while many of these coins may sell for modest amounts depending on their condition, there is always the possibility, however rare, that a truly exceptional piece can reach astonishing levels. We're talking about coins that are nearly perfect, coins that have survived decades without losing their original quality, coins that stand out even among collectors. And when such a coin appears, especially if it is certified, graded, and recognized for its quality, it can attract serious attention from buyers around the world, collectors who are willing to pay top dollar for the best of the best. And that's where things can reach levels that most people never even consider, because in the world of rare coins, it only takes one exceptional piece, one rare variation, one perfect example, to create a sale that shocks everyone. Now imagine for a moment that the coin you have is not just another example, but one of those rare, exceptional pieces. Imagine that it has been preserved in near-perfect condition, that it comes from a scarce year, and that it has the kind of appeal that collectors are searching for. Imagine the possibility that what you're holding is not just a piece of history, but a hidden opportunity, because while most people will never look twice at a coin like this, the few who do, the few who understand its potential, are the ones who uncover its true value. And that brings us to the most important part of this entire story, the idea that value is not always visible at first glance. The idea that something small, overlooked, and forgotten can carry a level of worth that changes the way you see it completely. And the idea that sometimes the difference between something ordinary and something extraordinary is simply the willingness to look closer. So, the next time you come across an old coin, especially something like the George V Zuid-Afrika 3 pence, don't dismiss it. Don't assume it has no value. Take a moment. Examine it, appreciate it, and consider the possibility that it might be more than it seems, because hidden in that small piece of metal could be a story, a history, and a value that goes far beyond its original purpose. And while most examples may only be worth a modest amount depending on condition and rarity, there are always those rare moments, those extraordinary cases where everything aligns perfectly, where condition, rarity, demand, and timing come together. And when that happens, the results can be truly remarkable. We're talking about values that can climb into thousands, tens of thousands, and in the most exceptional, almost unbelievable scenarios, reaching as high as $2 million. Yes, you heard that right, $2 million for a coin that most people would overlook without a second thought. And while such cases are extremely rare, they serve as a powerful reminder of what is possible. Reminder that sometimes the smallest discoveries can lead to the biggest surprises, so keep your eyes open, pay attention to the details, and never underestimate the value of what you already have because you never know when that small, forgotten coin might turn out to be something extraordinary. And if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed because stories like this, discoveries like this, and opportunities like this are all around us, waiting for the right person to notice them.